every city on the East Coast, every city on the West Coast, every city I can think of in Texas. Phoenix did send out a delegation a few years back. I talked to them. Washington. And now the police department in Maricopa County asked me to come out and bring it there. So for 6 years, I was the assistant to the chief of police for the city of Goodyear. I teach at a local college. I teach ethics and law enforcement and community policing. I've done a lot, I've seen a lot, and I've taught a lot. And I don't want to go into, every politician wants to tell you how much they're in love with themselves and how they're going to solve all your problems. But I will tell you this, I have a background in ethics. Twice I've arrested people who have tried to bribe me. Since I've been out here, twice I've testified against police misconduct in Maricopa County. I want to be your sheriff for lots of reasons, but I want to go into another one. And I want your honest opinion on this. I'd like to pass this photo around, but I need to get it back. This is Carlton. And Thursday night, I received a phone call from his mother and his father. And this is what they told me, so this is what I had to go on. They said my son was arrested, he's 18, and he was drinking alcohol. Okay, not the right thing to do. He got into a fight with a friend of his, he got arrested. He got maced, and when he got to the county lockup, he was asking for medical attention. According to what he told his parents, they told him, we'll give you something to complain about. They maced him some more, and then, in his words, they beat him. Now, I have seen photos, and I met this gentleman for the first time in my life today. He has bruises from his waist all the way up his back. He has bruises on his face. One eye is still completely red, half shut. So I went into detail with the parents to see what I could do to help. And then while I was talking to the mother on the phone, I was on the computer, and I noticed that MCSO did not have his photo up. So we know from past history, sometimes they do not put a mugshot on if someone's been restrained and looks like they've been beat up. So I started to see anomalies that started to agree with his side of the story. I then went in and talked to the parents, well, what is the bail for him? The bail was set at $500. I asked them, can you make that bail? Because they only had to put up a fraction of that, $125. They come from out in the West Valley, out in the west part of Buckeye, and they could not make his bail. I'm going to do something that I haven't told anyone in public. And I didn't tell people this because I'm not looking for sympathy. I then put up the bail for him. I did this to relieve his parents of a great tragedy in their mind. They felt that he would not survive the night because he got a phone call out to them, and according to him, he said the guards are trying to get other prisoners to beat me up so it doesn't look like the guards hit me. And the parents were in crisis, so I put the money forward myself. I didn't want anyone to know that because I felt if Joe or Kyle found out that I put it up, that they would keep him in even longer. So I was very quiet about that. And the reason why I'm mentioning it now is I got a phone call 2.5 hours ago from a reporter. Some reporters like me, and I'm very nice and pleasant. Some reporters are very neutral, which is absolutely fine. And one or two tend to be hostile towards me for whatever reason. Guess which one called me 2 hours ago? His opening remark to me was, John, you might have gotten duped. And first of all, now, I hadn't told him anything, so I'm like, okay, about what? He goes, I know. I said, all right. He goes, can you confirm that you put this up because on paper your name's there? I said, yes, I did put up. He's out now, so I can say this. I did put up the money myself to bail him out. And I said, the things that went along with this story were, low bail means you don't have a criminal record or you're not violent. The fact that the amount of injury that he sustained tends to imply a lot of force was used, and no other person was assaulted, meaning if 3 deputies or a police officer went to the hospital, that would infer that maybe he got what he deserved in a struggle. All of these things have suggested that what he was saying may have merit, may have truth. If that is the case, then that means that we have people in brown shirts working in the 4th Avenue jail who are on the wrong side of the bars. Yes. They shouldn't be in front, they should be in. Yep. I want to be your sheriff. Yes. I said something similar recently. I will tear through that jail and do whatever I have to do to find the people that have committed this act, if it is a criminal act, and other criminal acts. I plan on reforming that police department, that sheriff's department, from top to bottom, and I also plan to have a special emphasis on not just human rights, but also I know how to lower crime as well. Now, my opponent, who I happen to like on a personal basis, has not given his opinion that I'm aware on SB 1070, and I've been in the room twice with him when he's been asked. I think SB 1070 is immoral and illegal. And don't just take my word on it. Just like, remember how you used to check your math answers if they were right, you just went backwards? Go backwards on this issue. If the sheriff said, I'm going to pull over white people with blue eyes, I'm looking for Canadians that have overstayed their visas, whether they're 90 days or 180 days, how long would that policy last? Would it last 3 hours? Would it last 3 days? No. In my opinion, SB 1070 is completely immoral and illegal. I want to change NCSO. I want to have it to be a much more efficient organization. As sheriff, I guarantee no serious crime will ever go uninvestigated. We all know about the hundreds of crimes. And then his answer, him being Arpaio, said, well, if there were victims, then maybe we're sorry. You know, I mean, you will not see that with me as your sheriff. My name is John Rowan. Not only do I want to be your sheriff, but I think with my personality and the way I go after problems, I really think that this county needs me to be their sheriff. Thank you, and I'll take any questions you have. Round of applause.
Thank you.
How do you apply the community policing to an area as big as Maricopa County?
Okay. Well, I used to go from neighborhood to neighborhood in New York City, and New York City has 8 million inhabitants, which is 2 million more than the entire state here has. So I'm used to handling big problems in big communities. And you do it locally, and you hold people accountable for their community outreach, meaning lieutenants and commanders. You're going to be in charge of a geographic location. I just had to go out to East Mesa 2 nights ago and meet with 9 people who run a block watch who says a police officer hasn't been out there to help them in a year and a half. And when they call, they get chastised for calling NCSO. Now, I know the lieutenant that they're talking about, and I have heard other complaints in the past about this individual. When you have poor leadership or absentee leadership, you have a vacuum, which means labor is going to decide what the policy is, and they're going to enforce it. If they want to work hard, they do. There are definitely dedicated professionals out there in MCSL.
Yeah.
If they don't feel like working hard, if they don't want to smile, if they don't want to answer your questions, they're never held accountable. I have at least 30 different examples of issues where deputies have blown things off, whether it's domestic violence, drug dealing, because they simply didn't want to go out there. I'm going to go from town to town, neighborhood to neighborhood, and I'm going to hold those people accountable.